All right. Let's call the meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, for the delay. We will say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Roll call, please.
Mr. Vick?
Here.
Mr. Burnham? It will be absent. Mr. Spencer?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Present.
Ms. Haskell? Here. Mr. Smith will be absent. Mr. Cornihan will be absent. Mr. Everly?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Ms. Sandberg? Here. Ms. Abernathy is present.
All right, thank you, Ms. Abernathy. Appreciate it. A warm welcome to Mr. Parker, who has been appointed to fill big shoes.
Well, thank you.
We appreciate you being here. Look forward to your contribution, sir. As well, just want to briefly mention for the record, I know Brian Smith, he's the Crown Point Schools District Liaison. He has not been here, but I did get a very nice email from him this past week to express that he reads every single one of our meeting minutes. If we ever have any questions, please reach out to him. I have responded in kind back to him to let him know that we appreciate that, and if he has any concerns, please direct them to me so we can bring them up at the meeting. All right, Mr. Parker, we've sworn him in already, so we're going to continue onward with our Explore Everyday Community recognition. Have a Dutch woman in the audience. Mrs. Van Cocker, come on forward. We've not had the privilege of meeting, but I've eaten enough of your donuts that we should have met, so have my children. So, it was about a year and a half ago, we observed just phenomenal, we have for some time, but we've been observing phenomenal activities on behalf of men and women in the community, whether it's through volunteer efforts, starting up businesses in the community that have been here a long time, or taking the initiative to start up new businesses here in the community, and we decided we would be amiss if we did not represent those efforts. So every month we try to take the time to recognize either a long-standing business in the community, somebody that has come new into the community, and we want to take the time to say thank you, learn a bit more about your business, some future efforts that you have planned. And Rise and Roll came to the surface last month. Having represented a past Rise and Roll, I know the significant investment that it takes to open one up and the significant ongoing effort that it takes to run a business. So you and your husband and family are to be commended, and we want to take this time to say thanks and hear a bit about why you chose Cedar Lake and kind of some plans you have moving forward.
Sure, yeah. We opened up our first Rise and Roll in Cherville 2 years ago, and then our Cedar Lake store opened up a year ago. And we were looking to open up a second store somewhere, and Cedar Lake is the place to be with the amount of new construction and everything that new people coming into town. We thought Cedar Lake was a good place to bring a new business. And the new development that we are in was just really a good fit for us, and we were able to kind of choose the way we wanted our building to lay out and all that kind of thing. So it worked out well, partnering with them to get that all set up just the way that we wanted it. So we were very excited to be here for the past year. It's been a good year. It's been a weird year, but we've done well, and we are excited to be here and to welcome the families in to try out our stuff and dine in with us and take things home and try to get some of that summer traffic of all of the people that are coming in for the lake during the summer and to visit us too. So we are happy to be here and happy to keep serving everybody that comes into our door.
So how many employees do you have?
We have about 7 right now, in addition to my husband and myself that work in the store as needed.
Okay, very cool. Anything else from the commission?
And you don't bake there, you bake at a different location?
We don't. So yeah, it's actually part of a Amish franchise business. So everything is made in Middlebury, where the original Amish bakery was located, and then they bring everything to all of the stores every morning. So there are 15 stores besides the main bakery throughout northern Indiana, and then there's 4 down near Indianapolis now too.
You guys do a pretty good job of keeping the shelves stocked or whatever. There's been a couple times that have been there, it's like, you know, later in the day, all of a sudden, it's not quite stuff there.
Yeah. So since we aren't making things, so it's like we can just quick throw more pies in the oven, that can, you know, affect things a little bit. We have a little busier day than we anticipated, and we sell out earlier. We've also had so many problems recently with the bakery being able to get ingredients to be able to make the things so that we can get them. So that's been a struggle as of late. So hopefully, in the coming months, that's not quite as big of an issue anymore.
My favorite thing, though, is that I can go in there and I can get donuts or cookies, and there are no calories in them.
Yes.
I
You guys do a terrific job of
Amazing thing
removing
that we've discovered.
But
Amish butter has none of that in it.
no, the Amish crack, the donuts, those don't have any calories either. I refuse to believe they do.
I have one complaint. There used to be a cream cheese spread with jalapeno and cheese.
I know. That was actually something that was made by a woman who retired, and she kind of retired with that recipe, so unfortunately we lost that.
Is it possible to buy the recipe?
You know, we tried. There was a group of Rise and Roll owners, franchise owners that tried, and it was just, it didn't work out.
That was, Randy, I would sit down in an evening, my wife would shake her head at me and look in disgust. It was so good. Yeah.
Well, the only objection I have to this presentation tonight is that there were no samples.
You know, I got here and I thought, I know should I brought something with me, but it didn't even occur to me, and then I was already
in the coffee.
overdrawn. So,
Right.
so you'll have to step.
No, we,
Well, I gotta be careful how I, make a public ask. It's gotta be under $25 and, yeah, right.
I love having your store in our community. It's such tremendously high-quality products.
Yes.
And it makes life a little better for everybody, I think, once in a while when we can dive into something that's as indulgent as what you guys make. So we appreciate it. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're happy to be here.
No, thank you. If there's anything that we can do on behalf of the town's end, as there's a tenant out there, but if ever, you're looking to other business ventures, you name it, if we can be an asset to you, definitely want to extend that along to you. We're here to enable family businesses to grow. So.
Thank you.
We've got a thank you letter as well as a certificate, if you so choose to present it and show it to your employees. Sometimes we take a picture with folks, post it on our webpage, that way we can promote the family business. So, Mr. Parker, he shaved tonight, so.
I came straight from work, so I'm gonna avoid the picture.
You can just stand.
Hey, listen, if I'm in the picture, you gotta be in it too. I usually
We can probably stand behind you, I suppose.
Where do you want?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you have a wide angle lens?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
There'll be donuts at your next meeting now.
I hope so.
Right.
Give me a list of the meetings and I'll bring it.
Oh, no, it's all good.
Second
Oh,
chance.
there's one right outside of your house.
Right.
Smile. All right, I got a
All
couple
right.
winners, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, when she tries to process it, it'll break.
I got them good practice.
I can usually give cameras a virus.
We got you ready for all the camera shots coming up here, Randy.
Yeah, right.
Good. I gotta say anything.
All right, we'll continue onward with our agenda. We started a bit late. We've got approval of the October 18, 2021 meeting minutes and claims Fund 404 in the amount of $0 and Fund 804 in the amount of $90,257.96. I will entertain a motion.
So,
Support?
second.
All right. Mr. Everly, in review of Fund 804, and Ms. Sandberg, any comments or questions on those bills received?
No, Mr. President, everything's in order.
Mr. Everly, on the 133rd and King improvements, is that the extent of the bills that we're going to receive, or Ms. Sandberg, or are there more coming?
The project's not closed out yet, as you might be aware of. The decorative poles that were on back order still have not come in, so we're waiting for those. last I knew, they were supposed to be in yet this month, but, so there will be some oversight yet on the part of our engineering firm. I believe and then I would expect, a small bill for those poles themselves. I think there was 2 of them that
Okay.
back ordered and need to come in.
And the bars in Thornburg, that was for the assistance with legislative efforts, the positive legislative efforts that we received this past season?
That Barnes and Thornburg one is actually, for some services from 2020 up until the current month, October. There's a multitude of items. I'd have to.
Yeah, I think there was that one refinance in there too of that one.
Okay, that was last year.
A refunding of the bond, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was, that one was for 2020 through 2021, some work they did for you guys.
Okay, got it. Good, and then I see that the fire department has put our money to good use. That's good to see.
Yes, that closes out the purchase orders for what you guys had approved and, for the beginning of the project, and then for the remaining, or the additional that they came back and asked for. So that closes out, what RDC has put forth for that project.
Okay. Any further discussion from the commission? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Vick?
Yes. All right, thank you all. Let's move on to new business. Number 1, explore everyday community recognition nomination. What's the pleasure of the commission? Do we want to take a month off? Do we have a nomination suggestion?
I usually rely on Doug for this.
Right.
You've got the good ideas.
Thank you, sir. No, we can wait a month there.
Okay.
So, yeah. T&J Landscapers is been on my mind for a while, but I kind of wanted to talk with them, make sure that they want to do that,
Yep.
get the recognition.
Yeah, the other suggestion that I think I had raised last month was the folks at the library, a bit of an unusual one, but I think they play an integral role.
That library here is phenomenal. I mean, it's really a great place.
It is. They actually like to see my kids come in, they terrorize the place for about an hour at a time. And I can say anytime that my wife suggests a book to them, they will order it or buy it.
Well, the older librarians wouldn't put up with that.
Oh,
You'd have been scolded.
You get your knuckles cracked.
All right, good. Well, we'll hold off for a month on new business and take a Christmas holiday break. Number 2, Assad Grant extension request 21-8 Cedar Lake Storage. We've got some folks in the audience. Come forward.
There we go.
How we doing, Mr. Porter?
Good, how are you?
Hey, doing well, thanks.
Good. We're requesting a 1-year extension to our Assad Grant from the approval of our plat, which was October 20th, 2021.
Okay. And brief explanation as to why, sir.
We were limited on the work that we could do until the approval of our plat, which was, again, October 20th of this year. Not only that, but just the weather has been a major issue for us as far as excavating and getting the property ready. We also have a grant for painting and a lot of exterior work, which we won't be able to complete during the winter months, so we're asking for the extension.
Okay. Questions from the commission?
1 year, that's the one, you know. I can see you know, making definitely some progress or what have you. I kind of check it every time I go by, or, you know, you're definitely making some progress, but.
Yeah, and I listen to the Plan Commission and BZA meetings all the time, and there was a lot of details that they had to work through with that part of the process, so it's definitely legit, so.
I've got a construction project going and a couple of renovations proposed, and building materials are also scarce. I mean, depending on how the supply chain works out, you might not.
No, we are having trouble with that, and then also, like I said, with the weather issue, we're.
The weather won't be an issue. John Kerry just signed agreements, so, yeah, over at that COP 26.
Oh.
So they got all the weather stuff taken care of, so.
Take a rowboat?
Yeah. Huh?
Did he take a rowboat?
He just signed his name on stuff and the weather's gonna change, so
And he pledged.
it's amazing.
I don't know what he's smoking, but he better get off.
Fantastic, so no worries about the weather, Mr. Porter.
I'll come up with another excuse, okay? You know, as the blacktop issue as well, the plant will be closing in a couple of weeks. So unfortunately, we did try to get in weeks ago, but again, with the construction the way it is, they were all booked out through the rest of this year.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion from the commission.
Might be a good idea to document what your challenges are, though, if you wind up having to need another one, just so you got a real good explanation.
Sure.
We granted them a one-year extension on their grant that we were giving to them, that we're giving to them.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Just for the record, occasionally, Mr. Porter or his father reaches out to me for legal advice, so I'll abstain myself from this vote. I've mentioned that before, but just so that the record's clear.
It's fair.
Roll call?
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Yes.
All right, that passes. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
Appreciate it. To you and
Thank
your
you.
investor group, thank you.
Enjoy your evening.
You took good luck.
All right, number 3, O.W. Cronin and Associates Proposal for an initial look at tracking assessed values. Do we have a gentleman from Cronin and Associates on the horn?
Yes,
I don't know if there's a gentleman, but Corby's there. I couldn't resist, Corby.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure you could.
He's just jealous that
Oh, hey,
he's
we're
here
there
to
for
sing
you.
to you.
I am, actually.
Well, I can kind of just speak on the proposal. Really, we kind of discussed it last time about how there's some properties within your TIF district that have AV losses that have to be restored with other parcels within your TIF district. And eliminating those would, if we eliminated all of them, if that was what we want to do, that would potentially generate an extra $98,000 in TIF revenues. Now, there's a little bit more to that. We'd obviously want to go through a list of all those assessed value losers and pull them out, only if we don't think there's going to be any assessed value growth there. That would be something that we'd go through with the town as well as Dave and make sure we've got those things correct there. And then the other thing that we would kind of look at would be potentially just pulling out all of the residential parcels. And the benefit of doing that is you have the opportunity to potentially lower your neutralization factor. Your guys' right now really isn't too high. Your neutralization factor, I think, is about 7% or so, 7.4%, which isn't high, but again, that can contribute towards some of that increased loss in AV. And it's just kind of a function of this kind of new legislation put in place maybe 5 years ago where they kind of want to take a look at the area as a whole, including residential, and if there's a bunch of residential increases in those, a bunch of residential AV increase, they take your base and they multiply it times, there's a little bit of a calculation, but more or less, it negatively affects what you're able to capture if you have a lot of residential growth in AV.
Okay. And the proposal that you've got here is roughly the time needed. You anticipate it's going to be anywhere between $2,500 to $3,500 to initially do this initial assessment and work with Mr. Austin's office to come back and give us a report by sometime in mid-December?
Yes, we've kind of already gone through, and I don't really want to say it's just the initial assessment. It's really kind of the 25 to 3,500 should cover us through all the meetings that are required after our initial assessment and those things as well. But yeah, that's our proposal there. But yeah, sometime in mid-December, your December meeting, we would, have a more, a list put together that we have gone through with whether it's Rick or Jill, or whoever it is in the town that has a good understanding of the parcels in question. But yes, that's really what we're looking at there.
Any questions for Corby from the commission?
So would it be fair, Corby, not to exceed 3,500?
Yeah, that's fair. If you guys want to, put that in there. Totally
Sure,
fine.
I'd make that a motion, not to exceed 3,500 on the, proposal from O.W. Cronin Associates.
There's support for that motion?
Second?
Second. Their discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for roll call.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Vick?
Yes. All right, Corby, I've got here the proposal for services. I will apply signature to same. I've spoken with Mr. Austin. His office is ready to be of assistance as well. And we look forward to receipt of information in December. And I've also been advised from Mr. Austin that we might call a special meeting as to the removal of some of these properties that are causing a hindrance rather than a help here in December if necessary. So thank you in advance for you and your team's work.
You're welcome, thank you.
And appreciate what your firm has done in being proactive here, Corby, and helping us to stay on top of things that we may not otherwise even notice from time to time. So that's very much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
All right, you too.
All right, we're going to move into project updates. Number one, Ms. Sandberg, Clerk Treasurer's Funds Report. What do we have here?
At this time, let me backtrack that. Within your packet is the updated Fund 804 report. Really, we hit on all the recent expenditures just a few minutes ago. At this time, I really have nothing more to really update you on. You know, the year's winding down really fast, and we've got a lot of projects on the horizon that we're working towards.
We've got here, Ms. Sandberg, in the upper right-hand column in red, fund balance and then investment of $233,901. What do we have that invested in?
That's in Trust Indiana. That is from over a year ago now. What you had initially asked of me, because we were kind of popping it to the side there, so you guys decided what you wanted to do with it, if you wanted to add more to it, if you wanted to throw it back.
What's the ROI on that? Is it life-shattering? No?
I couldn't tell you for sure off the top of my head. I'd have to,
Is it more than 1%?
at this point in time, I honestly cannot remember, but it really, it'd be hovering. It really has not been good this year. I mean,
Okay.
I'll pull that for you and shoot you an email tomorrow morning.
We invested in Bitcoin.
I think we're behind the eight ball on that one, Randy.
If I'd have known.
Yeah, if all of us would have known, holy smokes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any other questions for Ms. Sandberg? Thank you, as always, we appreciate it. And I anticipate, what is it going to be next month that we'll hear word of our November collection, maybe? Or is that going to be January?
January, I guarantee it will not hit the bank until December 28th, 29th.
Okay, all right, got it. Dave, Hood, Lust damages, any update that you can provide us there that's not going to be an exec session?
No, we're at the end of a slow dance with Attorney Werner. Something's about to happen, be it Indianapolis or be it in Judge Parent's court, one of the two.
Okay. Got it. Anything further on number 3, industrial park property roadway?
Nothing
Nothing to report to the camp?
to report, right?
Okay. All right, Assad Grant, updates. Ms. Abernathy, anything of note to report on your end? Or Mr. Eberly?
Well, other than the extension that you granted tonight, Mr. Chairman, I don't think there's any update that we have on this. You know that at the last meeting, of course, the commission decided to reduce the $100,000 next year to the $100,000 less the $38,500 committed to Brad Lambert's Summer Winds project. plus any increase that we realized in taxes paid by the Summer Winds project, not to exceed, I believe, Randy, about $80,000, if memory serves.
Thought that's what the
Yeah.
number was 80,000.
Yeah, and the taxes paid on that property, Corby actually did a quick calculation for us, and they were over $33,000, so certainly there's justification to going to $80,000 in the Assad Grant program for next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe what we want to do in the next month before our December meeting is assemble kind of a press release of some form that we can be prepared to remit to the Chamber of Commerce in maybe mid-December after our next meeting. The other thing that's striking, and the Commission's thoughts on this, is I think every once in a while the NWI Times will highlight achievements in communities, but maybe we want to press them for some of the recent accomplishments that garner some press, and that can always be beneficial in other areas.
So, one of the things I think we still need to consider with TIF expenditures is the Lake Eco Restoration Project. The council has adjusted the budget a little bit as a way to make sure that we're not stressing the stormwater utility more than it already is. We're going to need to be issuing a little bit larger of a TIF bond to incorporate that engineering piece to make sure that we get $5.5 million of actual construction rather than $5 million in construction and $500,000 of engineering. So we bumped that project budget to $5.9 million instead of $5.5 as a way to make sure we get the actual construction work that we are anticipating. So I think that, you know, the 80,000 is still a good number, especially because of that increased collection. But I think as we move into next year, we need to work together with the council on some capital planning, because we have some major thoroughfares, one of them being 133rd on the west side, that it's getting some age on it. It's starting to crack up a little bit. 2007 was the first phase, so it's kind of reaching the end of its life. We've got to look at some of these projects. So I think that we're on the right track. We've got good collections, but let's look at the next 5 years here right now and really get a plan in place, because I'm not sure when this TIF district exactly sunsets, but we've got to be preparing for that as well.
Dave, is it possible for our next meeting to get to us the timeline of events as to our existing TIFs? If your office can prepare that? And then, Mr. Everly, can you have your office provide us what the top 5 or 8 items are that the council has been assessing?
Yes, certainly, Mr. Chairman, and we've identified some of those already in the sustainability report. So our sustainability plan that Corby's firm put together for us, so we can supplement that. And Randy's correct, we're actually anticipating putting together a bid package to go along with the parish project that we plan to do. And by the way, I think everybody's aware that we did get CCMG grant monies for that parish project. So that's a 50-50 matching grant that we thought we were going to have to pay for at $1.2 million. We got half of that paid through the grant. We also got Vermillion Road project funded as part of that as well. And the nice thing that NDOT's doing this year is they're letting us, if we have multiple projects, they're letting us combine them, so that if one project overruns and another underruns, we can use the money from the project that underruns towards the one that overruns. Previously, you couldn't do that. You just had the money for that one particular project. So, and then Randy just signed that agreement just last week, I think, and we got that off to NDOT. So that was a good accomplishment, but that was a good initiation from NDOT. But we plan to, put some bids out for 133rd Avenue at the intersection with Parrish. And, you know, I guess what made us realize that how, the kind of condition the 133rd is the 133rd and King project. When we did that intersection, and you see that beautiful pavement there, and then you drive on to what has aged since as Randy said, since '07, you realize that we need some work done on 133rd. So we're gonna try to get that done, along with this other project, next year. if
And
possible.
expand on what Rick is talking about too, while we don't know the overall impact of the quote infrastructure plan that was signed by our president, we do know that there will be several $billions made available to the state of Indiana for infrastructure projects that will obviously require some sort of matching funds as well. And that as much as I hate this infrastructure plan that's only 10% infrastructure, we do need to be prepared to utilize our TIF monies to leverage locally to get some infrastructure, actual infrastructure out of it for ourselves. Because the other stuff is just crazy, but on a local level, we can invest in real infrastructure.
So to that point, I just heard at the last One Region event that we have a new head of the RDA. Have we sat down with her as of yet, reintroduced the RDA as to what we have going on, both existing, futurely? I think that should be.
Senator Niemeyer was reaching out to her to see if he could get an audience with her specifically about the Lake Eco project.
Good.
Okay.
So once he has done that, then I think he can pave the way and introduce us to her. She was the interim and was recently named permanent director.
I think if we can get an audience with her on an afternoon to not only discuss the lake, but some other projects that we're in dialogue on.
Yeah, Senator Niemeyer and I have talked extensively that, you know, when Mr. Hanna was the director of the RDA, his comment to me was that the Lake Eco Restoration Project was not in their charter. And I kind of scratched my head and that doesn't make any sense, so.
South of the road.
Senator Niemeyer and I talked about it, and he said it's absolutely in their charter. And he said, I'll make sure to intervene on your behalf. So I know that he's very interested in the RDA investing in things that aren't just Lake Michigan shoreline and train related, but that are tourism, economic development related, which some things going on in a community like ours fit that description.
Exactly, because I think we more than talk just lake, there's a lot connected to it, so.
Do you think that train's still a good investment in the condition that Chicago's in right now?
A lot of people think it is, Greg. It doesn't matter if we agree.
I'd rather stay home and shoot myself.
Well, that's one way to go about it.
That's one way to put it, Greg.
We need help for Greg? Who's tonight, Mr. Parker? All right, okay. So then Senator Niemeyer is paving that road. Okay.
Yeah, we spoke about it back in September, and he said he was gonna work on that, just what Rick had said there, so we'll kind of wait for him to get the door open there and hopefully have an opportunity to present some of the great opportunities for investment here.
Okay. Anything else, any Assad Grant updates?
No, sir.
All right, move along to light pole banners. Mr. Everly, any update from your office?
That the project was finished, and I want to thank Public Works. It was a labor-intensive project for them to get all of those up. And they'll remain up for at least another week, maybe 2 weeks, because it took a little longer to get them in place than we had anticipated. But I think the commission wanted to have them up for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll likely leave them up till after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Financial analysis, I think that's also encompassed in some of the work that Corby and Cronin Associates are doing. Any further update on that front, Mr. Everly?
Nothing specific, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if Corby had anything, but you wanted to leave this on there as just an update item as a refresher on a month-by-month basis. I don't know that there's anything specific to report this evening.
And
I don't have anything else other than what we spoke on.
Okay, thanks, Corby. And I think what we can look forward to is next month, evaluation again of some of those top items, and then early January, February, take a look at a 5-year plan that's gonna coincide with the RDC and the town council as to how we allocate and apportion dollars. I think that's what's gonna come out of that. Any further insight from the commission? All right. Number 7, anticipated funding for the Lake Ecosystem Restoration Project. We have a letter from Sealy President, Bob Gross. Doug, is there anything from you on behalf of this letter, or Mr. Niemeyer, that's being asked here?
For Mr. Niemeyer, are we talking about Randy or Rick?
You were asking Randy.
Yes, Randy.
Randy just gave you his.
Okay, I don't know if there's any further updates.
I don't go by Mr.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I pulled it too, sorry.
Right. No, I hope everybody attends. I think it'll be a great event. Obviously, anything that we can get together in partnership is gonna help on that back end of the project to fund that alum treatment and kind of the sustainability portion of this project. And hopefully, if some things go well here in town, there will be opportunities for continued investment by the town as well, through TIF revenue. So, other than that, I don't have a lot to add to it.
One of the things that will be there is, Jed from Christopher Burke will be making a PowerPoint presentation there, and it will give you, or give the people that are there a good insight of exactly how big this project is, and how much we've got to go through to make this happen. And Christopher Burke has done some really good work where Jed is out there trudging through the wetlands as it goes back over to where the dredging site was. And
I've been asked to speak at that event, so that'll be a good time for everybody to take a break and leave the room, use the bathroom, stuff like that,
if
so.
you happen to speak at
You need one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
It's noble of you to.
No, nobody will be
That role.
interested, but I'd say,
Yes.
The hubris that comes forth is good.
In addition, Mr. Chairman, to what Randy mentioned about the $3.9 million bond issue, we've identified $2 million in wastewater funds that are going to be earmarked towards this project. We are applying for $150,000 a year in what's called layer grant monies. That's the lake and river enhancement monies that DNR distributes on an annual basis. Jed and I had a meeting with Senator Niemeyer and 2 gentlemen from DNR a couple of weeks ago about that. Those monies, we were advised to apply for $150,000 a year for each year of the project. It sounds like we're an outstanding candidate for those monies. There is a match, but we far exceed the match. Match is like 20%, and we're putting in, 200% or more than that compared to what the grant would be. You mentioned the money from CLIA. CLIA has, Bob Gross reported to me last week, $270,000 at this point towards the project, and there are additional fundraising efforts. Be able to report more accurately to me after this November 20th fundraising event that they're having. It seems like I'm missing, well, we have the $15,000, Jen, that's in the non-reverting fund now that's been there for a while.
Yeah. That's been for a while.
We've identified, I think, David, it was $6.7+ million of potential if we do get the layer grant at $150,000 a year for 4 years. So
moving in the right direction.
we certainly are. Yep.
Question, is there a way that we can capture revenue from people who live off the lake that come to the lake that can go towards this project?
I don't know if this is for the discussion here, but it seems to me, and I have discussed it with Rick Niemeyer concerning the feasibility of a usage tax for the lake. A sticker that you put on your boat window, what have you, for all the lake people and those who use the lake from, surrounding communities as well as out of state. Because it does seem kind of a little unfair to me that Cedar Lake is the one that is really footing this bill for this lake, but yet it's a public lake. You know, I've been corrected. It's not really a state-owned lake. The state owns or DNR owns the water. We own the ground that's under that water there. So.
Somebody told you that, Doug?
Pardon?
Somebody told you that we own the land under the water and.
Right. It's our land, but their water. The DNR's water.
Some of the craziest stuff that you'll ever hear is some of those theories of how that all works. And I mean, Rick Niemeyer and I talked about it a couple times. I'm like, just have the state, if we're going to fund this, just have them sign the water over too. I mean,
yeah,
it's
All you have
fine.
to do is.
we'll buy the water.
It will be fine. Yeah.
All you have to do
The
is
grown-ups.
read the case law. The case law on this, from 2 years ago, Gunderson versus somebody over in Long Beach. It's clearly public water. State of Indiana, clearly, without question.
Yeah.
The only reason we're sitting here now is because they would not commit at any point in time in the history of this town to taking care of it.
But yet, I mean, the town has gotten together and it's a big pill to swallow.
Well, but, you know, in defense of our own participation in it, and Greg and I, when Greg was on the council, worked hard at this because the Army Corps project would have had us basically leveraging general obligation debt and stormwater revenues and wastewater revenues against this project that would have completely hamstrung the town for the next decade. We were able to do something here with TIF revenue and wastewater that will not have an impact on the general taxpayer and ratepayer. And nor will it raise the tax rate. So these are things that are being done in a fair sense.
Stormwater makes sense because that's what it is.
And all I want is in consideration from the state is what Rick presented. The grants that we can get, the legislation that has been done on our behalf that has allowed us to gain access to more liquor permits so we can create an economic engine around it. So those things, the facilitation is there. I feel pretty good about what's been done in partnership there. I think there's a little more to go on that path, but I think the foundation is being set.
I just raised the question to Doug's point, which is we have so much outside use that comes in and utilizes it. To me, there should be reimbursement.
Kind of like that, user fees or surcharge.
Yeah, is there a vehicle for that, Dan?
Exactly. That's
Not to my knowledge.
Like a toll or something that?
Yeah, no, not for local units. I don't know of any
but
as it exists in the code.
would we be able to utilize or talk to the folks that own the ramps, so to speak, to see if they could voluntarily add that in before they open up their ramps?
I don't know if it's lawful to do so. If it's a public lake,
Well, I know you can't do it at the North Point. That's a parking fee that gets charged there, not a launch fee, not a water usage fee.
Did you charge a launch fee?
Not at public.
I don't think so, not at a public
Not
launch.
at our North Park, but Bob Gross can charge it.
But then what do
Using
they,
his land to get into the
what
water.
does the chamber charge then for?
Parking.
Parking, for trailer parking.
Right, for trailer parking.
Yeah, it's in the agreement with the state.
There's gotta be a way we can get creative.
Well, you know, Niemeyer thought that, yes, you do have a point there. And, you know, I also, what about the residents who don't live on the lake or what have you, and they have to help put the bill.
But they're really not.
That's the first I've heard of it.
By the way that we formulated,
I know a guy on TV that did this a lot.
by the way that we formulated this thing, and Greg and I were the two guys that were pounding the table against that Army Corps project, and the reason it disappeared was because that was gonna put the burden on people that never use the lake. It's totally unfair.
Yeah.
So now we've got a system set up here where that's not gonna burden.
So hence I say, let's, if we need to maintain the lake and what have you, the users, the people that use it, and I mean, you're talking maybe $20 an annual fee to the voters, what have you, maybe a little more to those,
Well,
I'd say.
as we calculated when you brought, for example, Everblue Lakes
Yes.
to the table, right?
Right.
Looking at this project from a sustainability standpoint over a 30-year period, you gotta have some sort of source of revenue, and that might be an opportunity for somebody like Senator Niemeyer to work on some legislation that would facilitate some sort of maintenance fee structure for users of the body.
That's what I'm, yeah.
But I don't know if that legislation exists right now. I don't think it does, that would allow us on a public lake to do that. But if we're gonna sustain the project and utilize a technology like Everblue Lakes or Everblue Lakes, I mean, over a 30-year period, that's still gonna take $5 or $6 million at least.
So maybe it's a legislative measure for a recurring fee structure that permits us to sustain and maintain what we're about to build, what we're about to do.
I think absolutely justifiable.
Well, I think that's an opportunity for us to work with our legislators too, to come up with a system
Yeah, some kind of a tolling process,
that-
and even
that
tie
works
it to an
for-
iPass, I think that would be great.
that
You don't
works
have to handle it.
for our lake, but other public lakes as well. Because I think we all kind of go through the same thing in our communities where we see this crush of activity, which is great for our local businesses and stuff, but as Greg's pointed out many times, most of the folks on the lake, they're not folks from Cedar Lake.
No.
You know, the people from Cedar Lake stay off the lake in the summer.
Right, I mean, Saturdays and Sundays.
And we have expense for the pier, the police department and what have you, and the fire department there, so we have expenses.
I think there's a fair presentation to make on some proposed legislation there.
I never thought about it before, that makes a lot of sense.
So to that point, Mr. Everly, would you mind maybe crafting a communication, would that be to Senator Niemeyer? To say this is an ongoing dialogue we'd like to have in the next year as to what?
Yeah, we have some legislative ideas that would help us on the back end of this project, long-term, to sustain the health of the body of water, which I would hope the state would take some interest in, because I think it's not just Cedar Lake focused, but it's body of water focused for the whole state.
Yep.
Makes some sense.
Good. Anything else for the good of the commission? Anything from school court?
We have our meeting tomorrow night. We did get back the I-read test scores, and they're gonna actually announce them tomorrow night. But with Lake County and Porter County together, Hanover is ranked 2, amongst their country.
Congratulations.
Wow.
So I think Hanover being in school all year last year
Yeah, huge difference.
is a huge difference. We haven't had to quarantine kids this first semester, so they've been on class, which I think has really helped, because all kids in the whole state, across the nation, I think, have kind of behind by not being in school a lot last year. So,
Well, please pass along our congratulations to the staff and teachers and parents and everyone involved. That's a communal effort, so congratulations.
yeah. And the football team made it to regional. They didn't win, but they played very well against a really good school.
I talked to a couple of players at the gym today and congratulated them on their season, and the one kid goes, man, they had a middle linebacker on that team that was 245 pounds, and
They did.
he was fast. I'm like, well, now you guys know what you have to do to win.
His shirt got ripped in the first quarter. When he came back at halftime, he just completely ripped it all the way off. He literally played in the snow with his whole stomach hanging out. They're a good team.
Yeah, they're
I
top
mean, they
notch.
went to semi-state, about 6 times? So,
Yeah.
but our boys did very well. They played really well.
Good.
Yeah, congratulations to Hanover. It's amazing.
So they were sectional champs then, right?
Yeah.
Sectional champs for the first time. That was their goal, was just to win sectional.
So this gives me the opportunity to brag about my granddaughters who was on the girls soccer team who won
Yep.
sectional also.
Yeah?
And that was the first time in what, 10 years, I believe?
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our volleyball, girls volleyball also won sectional.
Back in our day, Tracy, Hanover didn't win anything.
Must be something in the water, Andy.
Yeah.
Well, back in the eighties they did.
Well,
Because you
yeah.
were there.
Yeah,
We
but
had
after
five
that,
games.
I remember when we went to state and watched that game, but yeah, after that, not so much. But no, our kids are doing very well, academic-wise, athletic-wise, they're just doing great. They had a great play over the weekend. Senior Augustus did a great job with those kids. Choir and band concerts we got to go see this year, it's nice.
I drove back in behind the junior high there just to check and see what I could see, and it's pretty well fenced off, you can't, but boy, it's gonna be a nice looking building.
We just did a tour last Monday. It's going to be phenomenal. It's really wonderful how they have it set up, so it'll be like third grades all together, fourth grades all together, fifth grades all together, media center in the middle. Nice and open. When you walk in, there'll be sun shining in, so it won't feel like you're walking in a dungeon. Same thing with the high school, the new office that they're building. And
Yeah, looks really nice.
everything's wonderful.
Good to hear. Anything else from the commission? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.